All right, here we are for another exclusive podcast. I heard the other day from someone who is in the business of selling. Okay, she's like a business coach online, right? I was reading her post and it said this. She was like, don't sell people the flower, sell them the cupcake. And that's what I want to do here in today's podcast. I think a lot of the times we're talking about the flower, and that can be the shadow work, the diving within, the things that you have to do, the food challenges, all of these things, right? We talk a lot about the flour and the baking soda and the baking powder and the salt and all those things that involve making a cupcake. But what I want to talk about today with you guys is the cupcake. Like I said this on Instagram the other day, where it's like, my desire for you isn't to have food freedom. Like it is and it isn't, right? Like, yes, okay, I want you to have food freedom. But the reason why I want you to have food freedom is because that means freedom with life. That means that you get to feel happy and the whole spectrum of emotions, and you get to feel grounded in yourself, and you get to laugh at the dinner table until 3 a.m. with your besties, and you get to like go on a celebratory lunch date with your mom after graduation, and it means you get to do those things. And so, well, in the course, of course, and in the community, we are talking a lot about the baking ingredients because, I mean, we have to, right? There's a lot that we need to talk about. We need to gather a lot of ingredients, right? We need to start challenging certain things. We need to start switching certain narratives. We need to start laying off of exercise. We need to do all of these things. And it's like, that doesn't sound fun, right? It doesn't sound fun to do a food challenge. It doesn't sound fun to take exercise off. I get that. I actually really, truly get that because I was at this place that you guys are at right now. So I think we need to talk more about the reason why we are doing this. I think sometimes we lose sight of that because we're just so in it. And it just feels really confusing and it feels really hard. And that's what makes us want to go back. Because this safety, this illusion of safety that we've created for ourselves in these eating behaviors, it can feel really, really quiet. It can feel quite still. And that stillness, while it's mistaken for peace, I think you're just like, I need these thoughts to be away. So I just need to lose the next 5 pounds. I need to control my food. And then thoughts go away temporarily, right? It's like we feel like a temporary ease of, I counted my calories perfectly. I can breathe at this meal. It's like this temporary ease. And I think we associate it wrongly with peace, when in reality, that stillness that we receive is really numbness. You are so numb. You're numb from the restriction. You're numb from the overexercise. You're numb from the pain. And those behaviors are simply just a way to continue to numb. And I think that's important to understand. But anyways, the whole point of me saying that was that this journey can get really confusing. And then we want to go back into numbing, into this just feels safe for a second. And again, I think it's like, let's look at it this way. You're in the middle of baking your cupcake, okay? And like cupcakes, it's kind of a weird batter texture when you make it, right? You kind of look at it and you go, oh, like this is just like, it's kind of like pancake batter, where it's just like, this is just like a floury liquid. Like this ain't anything special, right? But once you bake it and you take it out of the oven and then you dress it with the frosting and all that, all of a sudden that gross liquid turns into a beautiful cupcake. Don't mind my very silly analogy here. But I think where a lot of you guys are at is you start to build your cupcake. You put the flour, you put the sugar in, you put the eggs in, you put a little splash of buttermilk in, right? And you're whisking it up. And you might even pour it in the molds, right? And then you go, oh, this doesn't look good. And so you start scooping it out. And then what you try to do is you're trying to take the flour and the sugar apart, which really is impossible. And it ends up just becoming a whole mess. And that's you trying to go back into safety when it's like, why not just allow your cupcake to fully bake? Let's just turn the oven up to 375. Let's plop it in there for 20 minutes and let's let it fully bake. Let's stop taking it out at 5 minutes, being like, why is it not baked? Let's stop taking it out at 10 minutes, being like, why is it not done? It's not going to be done until it's done. Give it the full 20 minutes. You got to give yourself the full season you need to go through this recovery, for it to be ugly, for it to not look good, for it to not taste good. Like batter, I mean, some people like batter. I personally don't like batter. So I'm like, batter doesn't taste good. Cupcakes, though, they taste good, right? And we get really antsy, right? And then we go, this must have been wrong, and I need to go back. So this cupcake, let's talk about it. This cupcake of recovery, which is in all reality just your life. Let's talk about your life and what it can be when we are living in a state of, sorry, I got bit by like a million mosquitoes and I'm so itchy. Ooh, okay, let's talk about this cupcake, your life. When you are not thinking about food anymore, when you no longer are playing this game with exercise that is very punishment-based and that is very structured and rigid, and when there's a lot of anxiety around exercise, how much you did, for how long, how much did you sweat, all of that. When you're not playing that game, who are you? Who are you? What is life like? Now, mind you, we're at the cupcake stage, so we're at a pretty sweet stage. Like life looks pretty good, right? The cupcake looks pretty good. Life looks pretty good. What does that look like for you? So I want to share, while you guys think about this for yourself, I'm going to share for me what the cupcake has been. Because mind you, I started out like you guys, trying to just gather trying to just gather all of my ingredients, okay? What did my cupcake look like? It's kind of crazy, my life, because I have it very segmented out. My brain is very good at putting boundaries up on things and kind of having walls of this is this life, this is that life, this is this life, right? And so it's really interesting because I feel like I have this life that I portray online on Flow with Chloe, right? I'm always taking pictures of food and I'm talking about the health benefits and I'm talking about weight and I'm talking about your period and I'm talking about challenging foods. I'm talking about all of these things, right? But in my life, in like my actual real life, because that's a segmented, like this is work mode. And it has a big wall in my brain where I literally go, and we're working over here. So that's my work life. That's not my actual life. So this is my life. Whew. It's like, where to begin? There's so much. And I think first and foremost, that's what feels good, is that there is so much. There's a lot happening in my life. I'm going to start at the big one, right? And I love this because Ingrid just shared this in the group chat just the other day that she's doing really well. She got her period back a couple months ago. Not, no one needs to be perfect here, right? But of course, we're still all on this journey and everything. But she's at a pretty good place, I'd say. Ingrid, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you're in a pretty good place. And you started meeting with someone. You kind of fell in love with this boy. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about the cupcake, is that your ability to love and your ability to receive love just completely shifts and changes. That's probably the biggest area of my life. Dating, putting myself out there, meeting new people, walking into a room with someone I've never met before and being confident about who I am and about my life story, not feeling ashamed, not feeling overly conscious about what I'm wearing, not feeling like conscious in any way, like overly conscious, right? Of like my body and what it looks like and all of that. Literally just being there, being like, I can't wait to connect. Because I understand as a cupcake that connection is one of the most beautiful aspects about this life. Over in the ED land, when you're just a flour, right? You're not an actual flour, but I'm saying you're flour for the cupcake, right? You're just flour. You're just baking soda. You're just baking powder. You're just the salt. You're just the sugar, the cinnamon. It's kind of lonely. The flour's like, I'm just flour. I'm just sugar. Like, it's kind of lonely over there, right? As you start to bring everything together, then you start realizing how important community is. Community, friendship, deep friendship, and also intimacy with someone. And so I think as I became recovered, because dating was literally non-existent in my life. I mean, I couldn't even be with myself, so how could I be with another person? Like, I irritated the crap out of me all the time. And so as I stepped into recovery, that's when I really started putting myself out there for meeting people. And it was such a cool experience to like see how other people live life, to be involved in other people's lives. Like, it was just really fun, really, really, really fun. And then now it's even more fun as I've met someone, right? I've been dating my partner right now for like 8 months. And we've been able to dive into things that I didn't even know existed. I could literally get teary-eyed about this. I wasn't even expecting that. It's like you're at a party and it's the little looks across the room. And the little just like, I got you. I understand you. I get you on a very deep level because I've been with you. I've explored you. I've watched you. I've been with you. I understand. So like, even the other day, like something came up. We're at this like event and something like came up and I just knew my boyfriend was just gonna like not have it. And I just like looked at him and he was just like, ah. And it was just like, even that, it's just, yeah, it's just that moment of like, To be fully seen, I know, again, can seem really scary when you're not the cupcake yet. But there's this like feeling of calmness that just comes over you, this feeling of full-on acceptance, this feeling of like I belong that comes when someone else fully sees you. See, when we put up this mask, when we are the sugar and the baking soda and we are pretending to be a cupcake, even though we are not a cupcake in any way, shape, or form at that point, we are the elements of it, right? But we are not the cupcake. When we put up this mask, we can't ever connect. No one can really know us. And that's what ends up feeling just like so off, is that like, I'm meeting people, I'm connecting with people, I'm going on dates, I'm trying to make friends, and it's just, like maybe that's just the experience you have of it. It's like, I can't stand it. When you've deeply connected to yourself, when you know who you are, someone else seeing you becomes like a thank goodness. It's a surrender. It's a like, yes, you just get me. Like, you just get me. Like, I go and I sit on the couch and my boyfriend, he blasts the AC on like 65 degrees and I literally hate the AC. It's like 105 degrees outside of my house right now and I don't even have the AC on. And, you know, I'll go and I'll sit on his couch and he'll go in his room, he'll grab his blanket and he'll wrap it around me. It's like, I feel seen. I feel like, you get me. You know that I'm cold right now. And I don't even have to say anything. So I would say that like learning how to fully be with someone, learning how to fully accept someone else for all of their flaws too, right? And that's why you have to learn how to accept your own flaws before you can be with someone, because everyone is flawed. There's no such thing as a perfect partner. There's no such thing as a perfect friend. There's no such thing as a perfect anyone. People are flawed, genuinely, like flawed. We all have childhood trauma. We all have like past experiences. We all have our certain narratives and beliefs about the world. And there's going to be a lot of maybe unhealthy communication that happens, or unhealthy behaviors or things like that. And you have to learn how to just to love them. Now, I'm not saying you fully accept and take and love toxic behavior, right? But I'm saying just human behavior. Just like, you were really short with me the other day. Like, you got to be able to still love them for that, right? And you can't do that until you learn how to love yourself. And I think this ability to love yourself starts to even become stronger once you start giving that love to someone else who's imperfect. And it's just, I don't know how to explain it. It furthers your love for yourself. Oh yeah, that's right. I'm imperfect too. I have my things. And that brings you this profound sense of stillness and peace in your world. It's fun to do life with someone. It's fun to adventure and to create memories. I remember early on in my relationship, I actually asked my partner, I was like, what's your favorite thing about partnership? And he was like, the fact that I can experience a lot of different things with that person. I can like share those experiences. Like, yeah, it's a beautiful thing. I think you start to realize that, sure, I can watch a sunset and it's beautiful and it's great and I'm not taking away from that experience. And sometimes it's so needed to be by yourself when you're just watching the sunset. But to have someone there with you who's been through the ups and downs of life with you, sitting by you, watching the sunset, feels so good. It feels good to be intimate with someone, to be sexual with someone, to feel like I want to connect. I want to feel you. I want to feel good. I want to be with you. That feels so good when you're not having to think about, does my body look a certain way right now? Oh my gosh, what do you think about my hair? I mean, I can't tell you, you guys, I have crazy hair. Like, I just brushed my hair, so it's looking a little better right now. But like, I have crazy floofy hair, and I always tell people, I'm like, I look crazy. You didn't tell me. Like, my floofs are everywhere. But to be in that intimate moment, no makeup on, no clothes, no hair done. My hair is always in like a crazy messy bun with my floofs everywhere. And to just be able to connect with someone and to not have to worry about those things and to focus on what really matters, which is this amazing sense of divinity, of like you're experiencing the divine as you connect with each other. That is just so beautiful. It is so beautiful. And it allows you as a woman to open up more, which allows you to feel more and more pleasure. And pleasure, oof. Let's talk about pleasure for a second. That's probably one of the best parts about the cupcake, is that there's an immense amount of pleasure that comes with it. This pleasure brings a sweetness to life that just without it, it just is too mundane. It's too boring. It's too dry. But pleasure comes in, and that's pleasure of, I came back from work, and instead of going to the gym, because I have to go to the gym and I have to get in my steps, I can't talk. What's the word? I filled myself, thank you. I filled myself a bath, and I read my like favorite fiction book and like put candles on everywhere and just seeped into it and just good. Pleasure, I also feel, it's like you feel in the littlest moments. I feel pleasure when it's like I can get in a car and go like on an adventure with friends, and I'm not freaking out about the fact that we're going to be in the car for 5 hours. That's like an immense amount of pleasure, of just like comfortability in my skin, comfortability with the flow of life, comfortability sitting or comfortability standing, comfortability moving, comfortability resting, comfortability eating, comfortability, needing to wait an hour, right? Like, it's just, you're comfortable. And there's an immense amount of pleasure in that comfortability. Being able to say yes to things is very pleasurable. Oh, it feels so good. Oh, there's an event? Sure, yeah, I want to go. Oh, there's a dinner party? Oh, yeah, totally, I want to go. It's just like, it's so much pleasure to just be able to live life uninhibited by these self-limiting narratives is what it is, right? You get to this cupcake and you're like, I can do anything I want. There's nothing inhibiting me from creating the life that I really want to live. And for going after those things, and for saying yes to the things that I want to say yes to. There's nothing blocking you. What are the other things that are amazing about Cupcake? I think I'll never get over what it feels like to just be at a restaurant with a bunch of friends and honestly to not even look at the menu. To just know that someone's going to start ordering stuff and we're going to family style it. That is, how do you explain it? It's just like a million worries were just like, blop, taken off my back. I'm like, I don't have to worry about that anymore. And I don't have to sit here thinking about what did I have for lunch. And at lunch, I don't have to sit there planning like, oh, I feel like this, but we're going to eat this. And so I shouldn't eat that right now. And I should eat this instead because it matches with if we eat this or that later. It's like, I don't have to do that anymore. Don't have to do that anymore. The sweetness of just being able to, again, it's just go with the flow. But there's something so nice about just being at a restaurant and actually just talking with people instead of staring at the menu for like 40 minutes. Being like, I can't decide. And then asking the waiter like a million questions about the meal and then making a million modifications and everyone looking at you awkward. Like, so glad those days are done. It's so nice to just go and be like, yeah, I'll have the cowboy cheeseburger. Thanks. Like, that's it. Like, it feels so good. It feels absolutely amazing to be on my period and to feel throughout my whole cycle. So not just while I'm bleeding, but the whole cyclical cycle that comes every month. It's so good to feel the emotions that shift and change. Like, it feels really good. I can feel when I'm full of energy, I'm vibrant, I'm having fun, I feel like really present, I feel very like energized. And then to go into, I feel super sexy, I feel super like attractive. And then to go into the winter, into the fall, into the winter, and start to feel slow, to start to feel like I don't want to do that. I just really want to wear a big t-shirt and I want to lay on the couch. Just want to take it slow. And that first day of bleeding where you're just kind of like, you're wanting to cocoon all day. I love the natural rest that it brings to me. I love that every time I get my period, it's that sense of like I'm releasing, I'm letting go of everything that happened in this month, and I'm going to get an opportunity to start afresh, to start anew. Feels so good. So, so, so good. Other cupcake things here. Feels really good, like really good that like my stomach never hurts. 50% of people with an ED get diagnosed with IBS, 98% with a functional like digestive issue. Digestive issues suck. I dealt with them for years. Like, they really suck. They ruin your energy, your mood, they ruin everything, your confidence, they ruin everything. It was just so nice to like go about my day and I never fear, am I gonna be bloated? I never fear that because it never happens. I'm rarely bloated. I mean, rarely bloated. That feeling of heaviness, that feeling of stagnation, that doesn't really happen. Constipation or just feeling super gassy, doesn't really happen. I just had lunch, feel fine. I feel like I could do a million sit-ups. Like, I feel fine. Like, I don't feel like there's heavy things in my stomach. I don't feel like my system's really trying to work hard. I think that's like, I like forget about how nice that is because I used to sit in class and I used to be like, this is so painful because I keep on farting, but I keep on having to like hold it in because I'm in class and I can't just like fart here in this room. It'd be so uncomfortable. And then I'd like try and count how many times can I go to the bathroom without it feeling weird. So I should go to the bathroom in the beginning and then I can't go until the end. And I don't need to do that anymore. I also don't need to sit down to a meal and fear that dairy or sugar or gluten or anything's in something because I'm not going to be able to digest it. It's not a thing. Hand me anything. My body's got it. It's fine. That's the beauty of being a cupcake. So I have no mornings where I wake up and I'm like, oh, I am so bloated today. I can't wear these pants. I don't have that. Even around my period, not much bloating. I mean, things shift and change. That's natural, but that's different than bloating, right? That's natural body expansion. That's different than like, I am bloated. You know what I mean? So it's so nice to be able to just like go in my closet and just wear what I want to wear. Like, whew, that's, yeah, that freedom. That's really, really, really nice. Let me think of one or two more things here for you guys. The cupcake. I mean, look, I just traveled for 2 months. That's one of the like biggest blessings. I just went with 7 of my friends all the way around Europe. We had a blast. Huge dinner parties, going out for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, getting dressed up fancy, sitting at the beach all day, eating gelato. I mean, just the experience of like being able to do that, of like I can just rest and I can just be a human being and I can just be here and I can just be experiencing a new culture and laughing with my friends. I mean, that's just so much fun. I couldn't do that before. So petrified of leaving the gym for more than a day. I was terrified of eating anything outside of what I knew, right? Let alone eating multiple things in a day that I didn't know. That wouldn't have been a possibility. And now here I am, and I have so many memories now. The last couple of years, I've done big trips every summer, and it's just like, it is so, so cool that I look back at those times and I go, oh my gosh, first off, I bonded with whoever I was with in huge ways, right? Now we're just like, we're such a good sisterhood. We're really bonded because we've gone through a lot of just life together. But I look back and I'm just like, wow, so many fun things I saw, so many great things I experienced. Just the energy of being somewhere like Europe, right, for the summer. It's just like, oh, so cool. Or if you're European, you might feel that when you come to America or when you go to Central America or when you go to Japan or wherever it is, right? So a sense of being immersed in a different culture. It feels really, really good. It feels really eye-opening, really refreshing to see. And so overall, this is what recovery is. It's the sweet cupcake. It's the laughing so hard that your cheeks hurt. It's the long, 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 long hugs with your good friends. It's the intimate moments with your partner. It's the staying up until 3 a.m., cracking up, like eating ice cream with your friends. It's the late night dancing and then grabbing pizza after. It is the freedom to wear what you want. It is the confidence to talk to who you want to talk to. It is the confidence to build the life that you want. That's why we're recovering, guys. So next time you start finding yourself a little worried about recovery and this looks ugly and this is a mess and I don't like this, can you just wait a little bit longer and can you just bake those cupcakes fully? Because it will turn into a cupcake and life will become sweeter than I think you could have ever imagined. So remember that this is why we're doing it. So again, it's not food freedom. I don't really care about that, but I care about the fact that food freedom gives you an amazing life where you can travel, where you can have good partnerships, where you can make good friends, where you can build memories, where you can go after that career you want, where you can have kids and like raise them in a healthy, home. And I mean, that's why we're doing it. Keep your eyes on the prize. And that is all that I have for you today. All right, guys. Talk to you later.